Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to another bonus mini episode of Uncluttered and Unfiltered. We're the podcast for women over 50. We talk about everything and get a little bit more organized each and every time we get together, but that's not what this is about. This is our Golden Bachelorette episode. So if you're just finding us because of this, we have so many other topics that we cover, but we are doing these bonus minis because we don't want to drag everybody into this. Just the people that want to be here can tune in to hear a recent episode of the show. So here we are. We just saw the episode where we are now down to 2.
Yes.
And let's see what else happened. We're in between, for those who are just finding us, we're in between. The hometown episode was last week. This week, we had 3. We were down to Pascal. We were down to Chalk and Guy.
Yes.
And then it happened.
Yes.
We found out that Pascal said peace and was not interested anymore in being a part of this because he did not feel for Joan the kind of feelings he thought he should if he was going to go all the way.
Well, first of all, I need to go back way up.
All right, start us where you want to start.
I need to start at the beginning.
Please
because,
do.
They go to this fabulous destination in
Tahiti.
Beautiful, I do have to say. I was confused about the boat and the non-boat and how I couldn't figure out the whole travel thing that was going on.
But
I don't know. And then Nancy
before you get to that,
Okay.
that seemed to me to be just a lot of ways to show the word Tahiti on screen. Like they clearly sponsored the episode. We're going to show our boats. We're going to show our planes. To me,
it was a lot of traveling back and you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then she's on this boat. And then all of a sudden, Nancy appears, who was a previous Golden Bachelorette.
Yes.
Was on the Golden Bachelor.
Yeah.
I'm like, who paid for her?
Where were they hiding her?
To come all the way to Tahiti.
She probably was invited sooner, but she's like, I'll come when we're in Tahiti.
Right.
And why her? I never saw it. I guess I'd have to go back and watch.
I never got it. And I have to say, at first, before I even was watching the whole thing, I thought, oh no, I feel like I can feel what was going to happen. Someone was going to like her over Joan. Like she was going to make a connection with somebody, but it didn't happen. That would have been
so
drama,
funny.
wouldn't it? So I didn't get the whole Nancy flying in just to give her some advice, which I did like Nancy's advice. I thought she was a very smart woman. I just find I cannot put my finger on it. There's just something about Joan. I'm just not a huge fan.
Okay, so we have learned recently that John, the one that she talks about at literally every possible
moment that she can,
which is nothing more than just, it's sad and it's beautiful and sad, and she has carried him with her, and I'm not saying she shouldn't be mourning the loss of her husband after however many years. But what I do think people need to understand is she's there to be on The Bachelorette.
And find love again.
So she keeps wanting to talk about honoring his memory. And I'm thinking, well, I think this is the number one way not to honor his memory, to be honest with you.
Right.
And it's come to light, too, that he was, I don't know if he was awaiting trial for this embezzling, this kind of insider trading or whatever white-collar crime he was involved in. But he, has a bit of a checkered past.
Okay.
So I'm just, not that should change how much she loves him, but it just seems more bizarre to me than anything else.
I just found, I find this whole Golden Bachelorette a fraud. I just don't believe any of it.
It loans itself to the whole, it's not as wholesome as it felt before. Just knowing he has that checkered past doesn't feel as wholesome.
No, I mean her.
Because she stood by her man.
And I just feel like this is all. I just feel like we really got to know Joan. We didn't get to know her when she was in the Golden Bachelor. I just don't think she was ready for this. I don't think that she's going to even pick anybody. I'm still sticking with that. I don't think she's going to pick anybody. And if she does pick Chalk, who everyone thinks she's going to pick, they're not getting married. I mean, they'll date, but they're not going to get married.
I think she was going to pick Pascal.
Yeah.
I really
that's
do.
funny.
See, you don't think so. I think she was.
I don't.
And I think this blindsided her. And I think the reason she was going to pick him was because she felt he could be someone she could safely choose.
Yeah.
And it would be fine. They don't have to get serious. He doesn't seem to her like someone who wants to get serious. She's maybe second guessing. It would have, in her mind, I think, worked out really well. Like he's definitely that hot, fun, rich
hairdresser.
Playboy,
I'm going to keep saying hairdresser.
Hairdresser, huge bonus points there. So she could feasibly have chosen him and not had to lock it down.
Right.
And it would have been perfect. But he wasn't about that. He was like, you and I talked about this before we started recording today. It was almost as if he just had no idea he could potentially have gone as far as he did. Was like, oh no.
Right.
I had no idea this would go as far as it did, and now I want out.
And he said, I know love, and this isn't love for me.
It.
This isn't it. And I'm sorry. I feel horrible. I don't want to hurt you. And then that's when it came in that she didn't want him, but she didn't want him to be the one to dump her. And it brings me back to high school, which totally drives me nuts because she doesn't really want him. You thought she did. I never thought she really wanted him. Mm-hmm. I thought she always wanted to stay really good friends with him. But then when he didn't want her, that was like, now she's going back. She's crying. She's carrying on. It to me, I don't know. I
love him though.
I do love him more than her.
I'd love him to be the Bachelor, but I mean, if what he said was real, he doesn't seem like the kind of person who would want to back that up by being the next Bachelor.
Oh, no, I don't think he'll be the next Bachelor. I'm still saying Chalk will be if she doesn't pick him. Because I think women will feel so bad for him because the one that wore his heart on his sleeve and told her how much he adored her, but the one that couldn't commit is the one she's crying over. You know what I mean?
I think more women are onto Chalk being a little bit
sketchy,
something. Then
he's a love bomber.
I don't think they would bring him back based on. I'm sure they frequent the chat rooms and get the public opinion on someone, and I can't imagine they think that anybody would want to see Chalk.
Well, one thing I did notice that I loved about Pascal, he brought up how traumatic his childhood was and how that has affected him throughout his whole entire life, which you and I have talked about this off air, on air, how I personally believe whatever happens in your childhood affects who you are as an adult. And I loved that we got to see a softer side of Pascal. I really, really like him now. Not for the playboy that I thought he was or the materialistic guy, which I didn't think was very materialistic, only because when you're in your 70s, if you're a success, you should buy whatever you want to buy, not be judged by it. And he's obviously very successful. I just loved him being real and being emotional. And I think he had a hard time lying to her. And that's because he just wasn't feeling it.
Yes, he's the sweetest.
Yes.
He said, you don't know what I've been through to judge and think that I only just like nice things. I've worked very hard and I had to overcome quite a lot. And so I think he's definitely, our quality of life matters. Menopause shouldn't take anything away from us. No two women experience it the same way.
And yet none of us are alone.
Hormone Harmony recognizes all of those symptoms we've talked about so much on this podcast, like feeling down and uncomfortable in your own body.
Hot flashes, sleepless nights.
Now it's easier to manage menopause with Hormone Harmony, science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes.
Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds.
That really says something. The biggest benefit I'm hearing about is, quote, feeling like myself again. That is what women are mentioning over and over again in their reviews. For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 11 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience an 11-year delay between symptoms and seeking help, and close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information or to learn how you can help. The one that got away.
I do. I think so too. But I do think they'll stay very good friends. And I'm not counting out that if she doesn't end up picking anyone or just dates chalk, they're not getting engaged or any of that, that they date secretly, like long distance.
Did you see him dressed like her for Halloween?
No, I missed that.
He dressed like her for Halloween.
Oh my God, that's
his
so
shop.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
he had
gosh.
the blonde wig and the gold dress and the rose.
I'm not counting out that they don't secretly date long distance
I just
when this
never-
is over.
I just don't think he liked her. I don't think they would, because I don't think he had feelings for her at all. Like at all. I think he's surrounded
Yeah.
by women so all the time because
Right.
of his line of work.
Right.
And I think that he knew right away that what was in it for him was the camaraderie of the guys.
Of the guys.
And that's what he was there for and enjoying. As soon as he met her, he's like, nah.
Right.
But I'm going to make the most of the rest of this. And then finds himself at the end and realizes, okay, I'm going to have to back out.
Right.
Because if she does choose me, she's going to get rid of somebody who wants to be with her.
Right.
And I think he's enough of a dude's dude to take himself out of the running that way.
Yeah. I still felt, even with chalk, I just don't feel this massive chemistry. I'm just not feeling a chemistry. I'm definitely not feeling a chemistry with Guy at
with
all.
Guy, I feel cringy every
Right,
time he comes on
right.
screen because I'm like, what are we going to talk about now?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are we going to say?
Yeah. I don't see chemistry. I really don't. I didn't see chemistry with Pascal either. And I think neither did he. And so that's why this all ended up. But I'm going with my original thing. I don't think she's picking anyone.
I agree with you there. So my husband also agrees with you there. Now, did you see this rumor about Jack and Susan? Jack is the cannonball guy.
He's so funny.
And then Susan was
Oh,
the
yeah.
funny one
Yeah.
from the one you thought was like Kris Jenner
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
no,
well,
you thought China the wrestler.
Yeah, she totally posted a video of her having like a chemical peel, like bright red peeling. She's funny.
So yeah, I heard that she's talking to Jack.
Oh, good. I see them as a cute couple.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And somebody commented maybe they would do Golden Love Island, which is where they bring, or like a Bachelor in Paradise, I guess it would be. Like a
Okay,
Golden
well,
Bachelor
they'd
in
have
Paradise.
to start all the nighttime festivities at 5 and be done by 7.
100%.
And it would be very quiet during the day. Of course, they'd have people like me who would just want to sit by the pool and relax, and then you'll have the adventurous people. It'd be interesting. I'm not going to watch the I don't know if I'm going to watch the Men Tell All. I may.
Oh, you have to.
Well,
you have to.
Okay. Well,
Don't even play like you're
Okay.
not going to.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't know. Are they really going to tell the truth, though? Or are they going to have to just make it for TV?
Well, but
I mean,
equally
they're going to
as-
all act like they love Joan. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't.
But I bet we'll hear some fun stories like who kept in touch with who, or like maybe.
I think they all
I
became
bet we'll
great
see
friends.
pictures of like two of them fishing
Right.
together somewhere.
Right. I think they
unexpected.
all will stay very close friends.
I
And
think
I
so,
love
too.
that for the men. I really do. I love that for them.
Well, getting back to what you just said about they would have to have, if they did a Bachelor in Paradise for the Goldens, they would have to start everything at like 5 p.m. Let's talk about the time change. So now here we are. By the way, we're recording this on the Monday following. Normally we try to get this out by Friday, but we couldn't for whatever reason because we're 50-plus-year-old women who have doctor's appointments and
Right.
stuff.
Have things to
So-
do.
Things to do. So the time change happened,
Yes.
and now it's going to get dark so early.
Which-
and you love.
This is my happy place.
Ah.
This is my happy, which I knew you wouldn't like.
No.
I mean, even this morning, I woke up with a skip in my step. I mean, I bolted
What
out
is
of
it?
bed.
Why?
Well, first of all, because I normally get up at like 5:15 with the old time change. So now it was like late, even though it was still the same kind of concept. I felt like so much more well rested.
Right. A little lighter
A
out.
little light. It just, I love it being light in the morning. I just honestly, I get so bummed out when it goes back the other way. I wish they would just keep it one way or another. I
Well, that
can't
I
take,
agree with.
I mean, enough with the back and forth.
It is frustrating. My in-laws are in Indiana, and for a long time they didn't do the
Right.
change. So half the year, my mother-in-law couldn't remember whether or not.
Right.
So she'd call like, I go to bed really, really early.
Right.
I always have, even when I was younger, because I get up so early in the morning, which is a problem too for daylight savings time for me, because I don't ever get the effects of it getting lighter earlier, because I'm already,
Right.
it's going to be dark regardless at
Right.
4 a.m. when I'm
Right.
leaving my house.
Right.
The getting dark at earlier for me, can't stand that, because I like to still be outside, 7 o'clock. And
I
out
know.
running.
I knew you. And see, for
Yep.
me, I'm already in my pajamas at 6:30. So I'm like, now I don't have to feel guilty.
Yes.
Like I can feel, oh, look, it's dark out. I should be in my pajamas. It's all a mental thing, but I am loving
But we're
this.
old dogs, and those are new tricks.
Right.
You
Exactly.
can't just change everything on us twice a year. Are you kidding me?
Well, and don't you remember when you had young kids, like my grandson now? I feel for my daughter because I'm like, ugh, the time changed,
Yeah.
because you would be like, right when you'd get used to it with the kids, it would switch and you'd be like, ugh, here we go.
But with my first, I would follow all of the guidebooks and try like every, going 15 minutes earlier, 15
Right,
minutes earlier,
right.
15, like spend a week trying to acclimate
Right.
him. With my daughter, second child syndrome, I'm like, whatever, she'll figure it out.
She'll figure it out.
She'll wake up when she wakes up.
Right.
It'll work out. So,
Well,
anyway.
I'm loving it.
Okay, so you have to watch. Is there something? Okay, so it's this week is Men Tell All.
The men tell all.
Do we get to know the final tonight? This week?
No. I think after the men tell all, the next week is the final.
Okay.
And I have to say, we'll probably do our blurb on the podcast as well, only because it's the final one. And I'm sure everybody will be saying, hopefully what I'm saying, she isn't going to pick anybody.
She's not
but,
picking anyone.
you know.
There's no chance.
Yeah.
They will have to go in and re-record it now, because
Right.
I think they would be like, oh, everybody's guessed. She's not going to pick anyone. They'd have to go in and make a change right now to convince me, because I don't see where this long ago when they were actually recording, she was in that headspace.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, she might have changed her mind having watched everything, but there's no chance she was in the headspace to settle down with one or the other of them. She didn't. I got the vibe like she did not like the choices she was left with after Pascal left.
100% agree with that she was how she behaved. And I love, we haven't brought this up yet, the fantasy suites, where she made it clear there will be no sex happening in those fantasy suites, which I respect her for that, because why? She doesn't want to be with anybody like that yet. She's not into them the way
I did love her for that.
me
loved
too, because
her.
she was like, I'm not into this yet. This is not a physical thing for me. This is an emotional thing right
so
now.
unpack your Viagra, gentlemen.
Right.
That's not on the table.
And then they all act relieved. The men like, oh, and it's like, you're like, whatever. You're not relieved. But who knows what went on once the cameras went away, though, in the fantasy suites.
Right.
Nobody
well,
knows.
I mean, it's really
Nobody knows.
nobody knows. Nobody ever knows.
Right.
So anyway, okay, so we are going to watch and do an episode, right? Okay.
Yes. No, I am watching the final one for sure.
Well, I know that.
Oh, okay.
But I think we should watch Men Tell All.
Okay, I'll watch Men Tell
All right, everybody. In the meantime, if you did only just find us because you had an algorithm that brought you to us, how about checking out our regular episodes, which vary from topic to topic? Just scroll through and you'll be able to see. And please do join us on our Ladies Only Facebook page. It's called Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only. And that is actually a private group. The vernacular is group, not page.
Right.
That is actually a group. So ask to join and we'll let you in free. It's a lot of fun. And until next time with the Golden Bachelorette, and I have a strong feeling we're going to be talking about the same thing we talked
Yes,
about
every
this week.
time.